You might have heard that you need to first study typography theory or something like grid systems or alignment. While these are important and useful, yes, I think the best place to start when considering graphic design theory is emotion. Let's say there are 1,000 beginner graphic designers, all with an eagerness and a passion to excel in this industry. If you understand and start to develop the theory of emotion as I'm about to explain, you will likely be in a 1 to 2% group of those first 1,000 designers who actually understand this stuff, and thus you're going to be ahead of the game from the very beginning. Here are 2 designs. Take a look at these designs and ask yourself, which design feels more energetic? Which one seems more peaceful and more relaxing? Now it should be really obvious, right? And the only reason it is obvious is because the creators of these designs understood the theory of emotion. So this floral hello design is obviously more peaceful and more calm. But can you actually determine why from a design point of view? We're soon going to look at a system that you can use on any project to seamlessly integrate emotion into your designs. But on this design, firstly, the colors used are desaturated and muted. Washed out, pastel and desaturated colors automatically appear more calming. Contrast that with the vibrant lime green on the other design, which is energetic. Also on this floral design, we have, well, flowers and nature. This kind of imagery is automatically peaceful and calming because it triggers the nature side of emotion. There is a lot of open white space on this design as well, which allows everything to breathe and to have peace on the design itself. And then also we have that freehand cursive font on the word hello. And this is very organic and very personal. And that just adds to the more peaceful nature. And so as you can see, each aspect of this design can be linked back to emotion in some way, shape or form. If it's a typography, the color, the imagery, whatever it is, it's all emotional based. It is a great start to actually understand how important emotion is in graphic design theory, but you also need to plan out a design and have a place to create concepts and ideas with emotion in mind. There is an app that actually really helps when working through graphic design theory like in today's video, and it also helps me work through graphic design briefs really easily. And that app is Screentool. So here's a project board for a surrealist Nike poster design that I worked on for a past video. Screentool is a really great way to structure your ideas and your thought processes when working on a project. For example, up here in the research section, I've compiled some surrealist designs for inspiration, and I made a few notes on them in relation to my concept ideas. Also here, I just compiled some existing Nike designs so I can actually make sure my design was on brand when working on this Nike project. Keeping a design on brand when working for a specific brand is really important. And any project has goals. And as you can see here, one of the main goals for my surrealist design was to tap into emotion like we've been talking about in today's video. And from that emotion, I generated some keywords that would actually help me in the design's creation. And in the end, the design turned out pretty dope if I do say so myself. Screentool isn't just for planning out projects like this. It's also good for note-taking, goal setting in general, storytelling, and managing your time. It's just a really neat and a really intuitive way to remain productive in whatever you do. And you can grab a 10% discount on Screentool when you use my link in the description box below, and that discount is valid for 4 weeks after the publication of today's video. And so thanks to Screentool for keeping me productive and also for sponsoring today's video. Right now, we're going to look at a system that you can use on any project and work through to implement emotion in really useful ways. This process has 3 simple steps. And the first step is to identify the emotions you want to evoke on your design. And to do this, just simply take your design brief and then gauge what emotions you want the audience to feel from the design brief. And to show you how that works, let's take this video game poster design brief as an example. A lot of designers will look at this and they're going to miss the crucial key points on this brief, the emotions. Notice in the brief it says excitement and also FOMO or fear of missing out. These 2 golden nuggets of information are what we're looking for in this first step. Next step, write down somewhere 4 categories of color, typography, imagery, and layout. These are the main essential building blocks of your design, or any design for that matter. The third step is to write down ways you can express the emotions within those 4 categories. So for color, we might want to use reds or possibly vibrant bold colors. This is because these colors are hard-hitting and exciting, which leads back to that emotion of excitement. For typography, we might want to go with futuristic, bold sans serifs. And that's again leading back to excitement. But what about the FOMO, or the fear of missing out part of this brief? Well, when it comes to imagery, we could maybe include a countdown timer on the poster, and this would make the audience feel like they don't have much time left to buy the game or to wait for it to launch. Or we could even make the poster look like it's a really crowded virtual world of many different players. See, it's simply about linking emotion to your design choices. And yes, you will need to learn about the basics of things like different typefaces and how they evoke different psychological attributes. But stuff like that does come with experience. The emotion is the key factor or fabric of a design. However, there is a trick I've got up my sleeve that you will want to see. Now this is ChatSonic. It's kind of like ChatGPT, but some would say it's better. And hashtag not sponsored. It can bring up articles and information all the way up to the present day, something ChatGPT cannot do. But for today's video, here's the trick that you can use for any design project using this thing. Now here, I'm explaining to the AI that I'm working on a poster design project for an electrical gadget store. And like we saw in today's video, I want to leverage emotion within those 4 categories of color, typography, imagery, and layout. Now ChatSonic is free, by the way, and as you can see here, it gives us some guidelines for the design in regard to those 4 categories. Now importantly, as you can see, it explains every single suggestion and it backs it up with some theory. This is great for those who want to learn, but also it gives you ammunition in any design pitch to a client. It allows you to back up your reasoning and your design choices. Now I can take things a step further, and I can ask it to expand on the typography section and suggest some actual typefaces for my poster design. And with these results coming in, we can see some suggestions for headlines and key messages, and then some typeface suggestions for the body text and so on. These suggestions should be considered and thought over by the designer, rather than just blindly following them. Also at the bottom here, ChatSonic has other further suggestions that you might want to explore. For example, some color palette suggestions. Yeah, this tool is really cool, and again, I'm not sponsored by this. I just think it's a really cool thing to use when working on design projects. Let's reverse engineer a design using that 3-step system we looked at earlier. And this is just so you're very crystal clear on how to use it on your next project. So we have a branding project by Vadim Karazan, and that is Netrunner. Now I do love this branding project, and before we reverse engineer it, as I briefly scroll through the project, think about everything we've spoken about in today's video in regard to emotion. This is what professional graphic design is all about. Consider what emotions this design might want to leverage and evoke, and why does it want to do that? How has a designer made sure this design does leverage emotion? But yeah, this branding project is really neat, and let's just scroll back up to the top and actually talk about it. So we know the first category is color, but what do you get from the color palette in terms of emotion on this design? So it's mainly blue, purple, and a kind of black. And when considering emotion, typically what do these colors represent? Well, blues and purples do represent a lot of peace, calmness, and trust. And that makes a whole lot of sense when we read here that the brand deals with healthcare, insurance, and biotech industry sectors. The emotions of peace, calmness, and trust are perfect reflections needed in those niches. The color palette here isn't a fluke or just a random choice. That should be obvious, but hey, let's move on to typography, which might be a bit more complicated. Looking at the typeface, what can we notice here in terms of emotion? For me, firstly, it's the recognition that this is a sans serif font, and it's an ultra sleek sans serif at that. This helps evoke emotions of modernity, which plays into the biotech industry, but also it's quite clean, which helps point to healthcare as well. Furthermore, the logo is seen in lowercase letters. The designer could have easily used uppercase here, but the use of lowercase letters is more informal and more soft, which does help evoke trust. Again, that's great for the insurance industry sector. Also, notice how the clean curves on the typeface mimic the style of the logo. And speaking of the logo, if we look down here, we can see the logo is slanted, it's almost italic, and also it's split up, which according to the designer evokes a sense of speed and movement. That plays into the modern approach of this logo. In terms of layouts, we have a very clean and a very minimal layout, and this helps reinforce the other emotional connotations we mentioned earlier. And when looking at the imagery, it plays right into the modern and the cutting-edge industry sectors. So yeah, it's not a fluke that this brand new project is a success and it works well. The designer has used the theory of emotion to make design choices and has excelled in their role of brand visionary. And I really love the back of this business card for some reason. It's just super neat. But if you really want to excel in graphic design, just click the video on screen, and until next time guys, design your future today. Peace.